What should we call this episode? You're listening to episode 13, first of all. So that's important. And not remotely important. You're listening to another episode of The Creative Herd. What's this episode called?
Free work sucks, but doesn't.
Boom. You're listening to Free Work Sucks, but it doesn't. And we're going to tell you why later in the episode. Nolan Begley is sitting in on yet another episode. And we have a beautiful back, a landscape of Toronto. I do like your place though, man. It's like,
thank you.
It's homey.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I've lived in 4 apartments in 3.5 years of living in Toronto. It's very frustrating moving that frequently, but
I don't know. I kind of like moving.
Yeah, me too. Somewhat. I like unpacking things.
But it's hard to find a place that is a home. It's not just like
definitely.
It's just not like an apartment.
No, not. And this is the first time where every time I walk in here, I feel like it's the closest thing I can get to a home right now, which is nice.
Yeah.
Super nice.
I'm very stoked to back up on that, because right now me and Taryn, like, it's just not. It's more of just like a place that's not a home, and I'm very stoked to move back. So yeah, let's just get into it though.
I sometimes wish that I had some sorts of order in my life, because right now I'm just like, I drive from gig to gig. I drive from meeting to meeting. I take phone calls anytime. I take emails at any time. Even though I try and stop it at a certain time of my day, I can't. I like kind of always have to be on. And you know, like, you just started doing the 9 to 5, so you know exactly what that feels
Dude,
like.
I like, even now it's pushed me even further, and I'm realizing those boundaries, like on, I think it was last week, I was trying to hit a deadline, and I sent an email at 10:30, and they got back to me on a 10:30. I know it's not like very surprising, but it was just like, why did I send it? Because at this point now I'm keeping the ball rolling. Now it's 10:30 on a Friday night, and now I'm continuing working because someone has enabled me to do so. But I actually was the person who enabled that. So I think it only goes as far as your own boundaries and like what you actually are willing to set, and that's really hard, and it'll never get easy if you're working for yourself. Yeah,
definitely. And it's what I've learned is that like there are bad distractions, which is how we usually see as distractions, and then there's good distractions. As in, like, bad distractions, immediately you think of like it is tainting your productivity,
such as Facebook, like that type of.
Not even just that. It's like it doesn't have to be like a social network. I'm even just like going out for a drink, just trying to take time away, or like going for a walk or something like that, or like sure, like getting stuck in the YouTube loophole like everyone does, right? But
deadly.
Yeah, it happens. But the good thing about distractions though is that it like kind of takes a chunk away from the stressor of having to work. And that's what makes things a little bit more tolerable and a little easier to approach. And it's hard to really look at it that way, but this is something that I'm really trying to practice now, that like not scolding myself and living through grief by distracting myself sometimes. Because it's actually essential. It really is.
Oh yeah, dude, me and Taryn often argue about this, and it's become a lot more common just because I've started working 9 to 5, is like, I have trouble doing nothing. And she's like, just chill. It's after 5, just watch Netflix. But I'm like, I don't want to, because I feel guilty because I'm just wasting my time scrolling Instagram. But like in scenarios, you have to let yourself be like, dude, just chill out. Just make sure your brain is getting like a good rest. Like you're saying, like you do not need to feel guilty for doing that shit.
I can't believe we haven't talked about this, because this has been something I've been struggling with for months now, to the point where it's literally driven me to lie in bed and just be completely bedridden by this grief. Like it really overcomes my entire self, my mental process, how I can process my day to day, because I'm just stuck in this sense of like, I'm not doing anything. I should be doing something.
Or is it like, I'm not doing enough?
Enough, exactly. It always feels like I'm never doing enough. There's like something I could be doing.
In terms of work?
In terms of work, just bettering myself, bettering my career somehow. And so when I'm not doing those things, it's like, it kicks me in the ass. But now I've also learned about myself is that I'm actually not the kind of person that wants to do nothing as a form of rest. I don't like nothing.
Yeah, I think we share that.
Yeah, nothing to me is fuck, it's nothing. It's boring. Like honestly, I have to do something. Like so like I got to go for a walk, I got to go play the guitar, I got to do something that doesn't necessarily need to stimulate me, but it allows me just to, that is my form of relaxation, and that's fine with me. But like I was at the same time somehow giving myself a hard time for not being able to do nothing, you know?
I think it's that balance of like, you have to figure out what actually recharges you. And in my case, and maybe in yours, like sitting down and watching TV, which some people that often work 9 to 5, that is their recharge. And for my girlfriend, that is her recharge. But for me, I can't. It feels like I'm like wasting time, and like my mind can't rest because it's watching. But like if I go out and walk the dog or do something like that, like go skateboarding, like it could be mentioned to be nothing, but it's like my brain is recharging and like I feel good.
Yeah,
like
man.
wasting, not like quote unquote wasting my time doing those like mundane things.
Yeah, I'm exactly in the same boat as you. Exact same. And I see Teresa do it too. She loves just Netflixing and just lying in bed, and like that's her thing. And like to be very honest about it, it actually was frustrating me, where I was to the point where I was like, why are you doing nothing? Why are you just like...
Dude, that's so fucked. Me and Taryn have literally gotten into arguments over this exact thing.
Yeah, and it's hard not to, because we're just completely, like we just mentioned, we process downtime differently.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to understand it, that I'm like, oh, you need this.
Like everybody's different. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone is different. Like you need different things that are going to recharge you. And if that's what it is,
and
man.
like, yeah, by judging you is now... yeah, like opening her up to be like, why are you judging me? I'm recharging myself for the next day. And I'm like, no, you're wasting time. You could be doing so many other things.
I think there actually needs to be more conversation around what we're talking about, because I feel like this is something that's a lot more common that it's not being spoken about. Like just like recharging is it's subjective. Like you have to have your own kind of way to do that, and not feel guilty about it.
I think there is also something to be said working in the creative field, because you really have to like look internally, and I'm struggling with that, being 9 to 5 and being in being meshed into a creative role. Editing videos, I can't just come in at 9 and work till 5 editing and be on that entire time and be creative and making creative decisions that entire time. You are so wrong, because sometimes I won't start my day till the afternoon. And being a freelancer or being a creative, no matter what like genre or flavor of shit you're doing, you like structure your day like, okay, I'm gonna emails because I don't feel creative. I'm gonna like just switch my day around, having that pressure of like only starting at 9, because sometimes I would start earlier than 9 and later than 9. I don't know, it's kind of fucking with me to be like pressured to be like always on.
I bet. Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, I don't
know if I articulated that properly, but
no, I understand that. Like I think about working for an agency full time all the time. I always consider it.
But right? Like if I had my own agency, if we had our own agency, I would not be doing that.
And you know what I mean? That's what's next. We're gonna get an agency going. We're doing it. It's gonna happen. But yeah, it's like I follow the same trap too. Like there's times where like I wake up at like 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. rolls around. I'm like, oh, I should probably start working. And then I'm like, no, I don't. I can't force myself into this work. Like when I'm editing photos, like I can only do it in 45-minute spans, and then I gotta walk away. I literally have to get up from my computer and take a walk and refresh my eyes, give myself a new perspective, because it's frustrating, man. Trying to be looking at the most tedious details at all times. It fucking wears at your brain and your just mental capacity, and it's exhausting. And people don't realize that about the creative work. It's not, sure, it's fun, but this is just the way we were wired. We were wired to like for the desire to create, and that's how we wanted our lives to be in our professional world. But it doesn't mean it doesn't have its own hardships, man. It's fun,
Yeah.
but it's tough.
Most times it's fun.
Most times it's fun, but there's a lot of times where it sucks. It sucks. Being a creative is hard. It is hard.
Yeah. It's like when you're like, you can freestyle as a rapper and they're like, yo, like freestyle. And you're like, I can't just, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
But like, it might not be that good because like, you're not really feeling it at that moment when they ask you. So that's kind of what I'm trying to say is like, and it's not like deadlines are new to me. I've been we've been dealing with them for so long. It's just like the structure of like letting somebody else define your day is something that's weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's just something I'll get used to for sure.
You know what sucks as well about being a creative but extremely important to be creative is free work. Fucking doing the free
it's like necessary, but it's also like it doesn't suck because like that's how we started, and like I love to do free work
for sure,
because usually what free work is associated with is passion projects, and like you can never do fucking enough passion projects.
No, you can't.
I can't even remember the last time I was like really like, this is my passion project now, because
I couldn't tell you the last one that I did. Like I said, it sucks free work because like, so objectively working for free sucks. That part sucks.
No brainer.
But it's important though, because you get to exercise your skill set that you are growing, that you are creating. And as a creative, if you feel like you've stopped learning and you don't need to exercise your tools, you're in the wrong field. You need to always be learning and keep up with not even just trends, but checking in with yourself and your own creativity. And if you feel like you've flatlined, you probably aren't a creative. You probably don't have what it's in you to try and excel and move forward in you. It's a difference between like, if someone's like, I don't know how to do this, I'm just not going to do anything, versus a person that says, I don't know how to do this, I'm going to Google it, I'm going to go figure out how to do that thing. That's how I differentiate like creatives and people who are just used to being straight out of a textbook. For me, it's like you need to be able to troubleshoot not just objective problems, but stuff that's like internal as well too. You need to be able to address the things that hurt. Why am I not feeling creative? Yeah,
like how do I fix what other things can do? We've definitely experienced that together and separately, because I've definitely had that talk with you and you've definitely had that talk with me, and simultaneously sometimes when it's like, yo, do you just want to like go shoot something, because like been feeling really down over the past few months, and like I just struggling to get inspired. And it's really helpful to be able to troubleshoot those on your own, but even more so is to have someone to bounce that shit off of.
I feel a big tip, if we could tell anyone, is like something that we did. It was very short-lived, unfortunately, but we used to do video diaries, not vlogs. But we would like create, or we would choose a topic or like a word phrase, and we would create either videos or write something within that theme. And I think we only pumped out a total of like 5 to 6 videos.
I don't know. I feel like I still, like whenever I make videos, I still kind of think about that, because like it was very constraint based is what we were trying to get at. And like sometimes if you're feeling not so creative, I think constraints are like really awesome, and I think that is exactly why we did that. For sure.
It's a good exercise. It's a really good exercise for you to kind of shift your paradigm a little bit creatively and do a new approach to things. And I wish I did that to myself more. I wish I checked in a little bit more and gave myself these boundaries. But as of late, sometimes like when you get stuck with a bunch of commission work, you can't do those things for yourself, man. You don't have the time. Like it's a good problem to have a bunch of work right now. It's a good problem.
Oh, 100%. I think it's really interesting when you get all this work. You're like, oh my God, I'm like being paid to take photographs of like, this is actually what I like doing. Right. But like now you have no time to do and take photographs is like what you want to take. And like, it's this weird shift of like, okay, now is this worse than like not getting paid? Like what's the right answer?
Yeah. So, for example, like do a lot of social work for like restaurants and cafes, and I probably on all of my hard drives have over 5,000 photos of beer. Just beer. Just like a beer in a pint glass with a nice frothy head with some food and some hands touching the food and beer.
Oh, you got to get the hands.
Gotta get the hands. That's what they want. Everyone wants interactions. And it's gone to the point now where like when I shoot it, it's like a formula now. I just know what's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
I know my style. I know what people are interacting with on the social feeds. And yes, to answer, like, yes, it's a bit numbing for sure, creatively, because I'm not...
Because you're like, oh, okay, I basically have edited this photo 4,000 times.
Exactly, man. Like, I don't even bother. It's to the point now where I don't even bother using presets on Lightroom now, because I need at least some sort of like creative choice or decision on each photo. Like I could literally just copy and paste a preset on all the photos I do for when it comes to beer and food.
Yeah.
But I need to at least do some sort of change to the photos manually so it feels like I get the slightest ounce of fulfillment. But at the same time, though, this realm of work that I've dived into has enabled me to invest in new gear. It's allowed me to live in a new apartment. I got to have a car now, which like having a car in the city is huge. As you now know, now that you're a car owner in the city, it's people think it's a big waste, which it is for some people, but for people like us, where we are looking for any given moment to get out of the city, it's huge.
Just like hauling gear, man, like it's so gnarly.
Yeah, you ever carried a full fucking lighting set for an interview on the TTC? Sucks ass. It's the worst. You feel you're that guy. I'm taking up 3 seats. I'm in the handicap zone too, where I'm just like, well,
I can't do
anything.
I'm
so sorry, but that's it. But yeah, like it's, yes, that kind of work may be dull at times and like you have to stick it out, but you can't forget that where you came from. So you grinded so much to get to that point for it to enable something else. And yes, something else will pop up. Like now I shoot with these women called the Beer Sisters. And they're these beer cicerones and sommeliers that do a lot of workshops across Canada. And they're huge in the craft beer world. And they have been like a continuous recurring client with me because I have now somehow mixed my love for shooting portraits with lifestyle, now with like the beer and the food. And now that's all they want to hire me for is for these lifestyle shots, them holding beer, them talking to each other, all of these like portraits, like even if they're not as moody as I would like them to be in like my day-to-day style.
Yeah, but it's more injected your style.
Exactly. I'm getting hired for my style now, which is something that like it took years and years to do that. I didn't even know if it was going to get to that point. That's like super discouraging.
Because you do spend the first, I would say, at least while you're building your portfolio and stuff, and your first paid gigs and stuff, and me is exactly the same. You're building and taking photos of shit that are other people's ideas because, well, they're paying you.
What was your first paid gig that you can remember?
Wow. Like specifically for video editing?
Sure. Not even video editing, just like you shot a video or you took photos and you got paid for it.
Dude, I'm pretty sure we did music videos. We started doing them for free like so long because we were like, I think it'd be cool to do music videos. Yeah. And then we were like, $300 after we did one.
$300? Are you kidding me? Dude, the first music video we ever did, our budget was $200, and we looked at each other and we said confidently, yeah, we can make that work. $200? All right.
True. That's probably the first gig then.
Like what were we oh man.
I think that's important though.
It is it's huge, and looking back the video was actually pretty good for just being 2 guys that are just
some DSLRs,
just a couple of DSLRs. Hey man, I still shoot a couple things with DSLRs and people are like, oh, that looks really good, and I'm like, I won't tell you what I shot it on. I won't tell you that my camera's from 2013.
It matters more of how you use the tools. I honestly saw a video the other day shot on a 70D or something, but it was the lighting. I couldn't tell. When they told me, I was like, no way. It's insane.
Shit. That's like the commercials, like the Apple commercials when they're shot on the iPhone. I'm like, was it really shot on the phone? Because if it was, that was fantastic. But I don't think that.
It's a lighting.
Yeah.
Well, they probably rig it out, man.
For sure.
They got some moment lenses on there and shit.
Yeah, I would love to see like a full setup rig, but with the iPhone being the camera. That would probably make some pretty good.
Oh, somebody's done it on YouTube. Just
probably, eh? I'm just not on YouTube enough. I don't know. I can't see. But yeah, I remember the first like actual gig where like it was a number, like the money that we were getting for, where I was kind of taken back. I was like, oh.
Like that's real money.
I was like, you want to pay me that much money?
It always feels weird.
This?
But that
it
specifically,
feels like you're robbing people.
Specifically, that's why I think it's important to do so much free work at the beginning, because then once you start to break into the threshold of getting paid like actual money, you have to make sure that you feel worthy, and you have to make sure you're delivering that quality. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And if you're not doing free work prior to, how can you expect yourself to just give amazing products without the practice of doing it? Like there's a difference between doing passion projects for yourself and then being involved in someone's passion project, because now you're being held a little bit more accountable for someone else's visions, and you don't want to let someone down. So you really are exercising, you're flexing your skills. So this like combined effort and this vision comes to fruition, you know? You need that.
Do you remember what that project was that you like got? You were like, oh shit, I'm being paid.
I'm getting paid.
Like it's not just like $100.
Yeah.
Because we did a lot of music videos. I think it was fun for us at some point to just do music videos. But when we moved in together, we were paying rent doing music videos.
Yeah, I know, that was wild. And
it was also very weird. We moved into a basement apartment at the top of Ossington.
Yeah,
and
shittiest lighting, super dark, but we made it as cozy as possible because we knew that like this was the only place A, we could afford, and B, like this was our new home, and all we had was fucking each other because it was a brand new city. We didn't know what to do.
Fresh moved to Toronto, but it was kind of cool because it was like the intro to being a freelancer. I don't think either of us knew what like that was an option at that time, but we were literally freelancing in the basement, making music videos and just like, hanging out every day.
Yeah. Like we weren't making a lot of money. There were some times where we were like, ooh.
We were scratching by
though.
Yeah,
like, month's rent's coming up. Okay. All right. Gotta transfer savings into checkings and then like, gotta wait the hour. Okay. It's going through. Okay, cool. Yeah. That was always a big fear, but yeah, we made it. And actually I think the first one we did actually, that again, it wasn't a lot of money, but I remember we had finally peaked that $1,000 mark on a budget, and it was a music video again. And the music video actually ended up doing very well. Like it's we can actually say it was Miles Marcus's Crazy. So Miles Marcus is a pop artist from New Jersey, and this is actually a good segue. He had found us through the free work we were doing. We had done a bunch of passion projects, free music videos, and he had worked with the same producer, with the guy that produced the music of the last music video we shot. And he said, like that's how they found us, through the work, and he wanted to hire us through.
Dang, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how. Cool. Yeah, so that's how it kind of.
We got.
This is Toronto for you. I live in right on the busy street, Bathurst.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that was and now like the video hit, like it's looking back at it, it's a very simplistic video, and we could definitely do something that's even bigger and better now, but like that video is like it's hit hundreds of thousands of views, and it just actually debuted in China because Miles messaged me not too long ago. Yeah, it debuted in Asia, and it's getting received very well, and we shot that music video in 2014, like 5 years ago. True. And the fact that it's still doing well and it's going out there, it's crazy. You like what I did there?
That's weird.
It's crazy.
But oh man,
that sucked.
Yeah, it kind of goes to show, I guess, that I don't know. It's just, this is a conversation that I've been having sporadically of like, how much should I charge to do this? And like, you have to have a portfolio And you have to be able to do exactly that. Like, show I can do this. When I knew I could cut a talking head video. Anybody can cut a talking head video.
Mm-hmm.
It's just letting that first person or doing it for free because somebody has to trust you. So nobody's going to hire us for a music video unless you've already done a music video and you'd be like, hey, this is what it could probably look like if I do it for you. And that's what people want to see. It's just so like point A to point B, there's zero trust unless they like see a product.
Yeah, I've had people in my life that, not in my life, just people I've surrounded with me that they don't have a portfolio and they deem themselves as a creative. But they would get upset at people, at like potential clients, for asking for their past work because they felt that their work was valued and that they could just like, you know, like my work's on Instagram. Why can't you check out my Instagram instead? But the truth is that shit doesn't fly. It really doesn't fly. You need a collective place to show everything that you've done. And that really quantifies your wealth. It really does. By like putting everything you've done in one platform really goes to show like, oh shit, he's done a bunch of things. That means he's, like he's actually very well experienced in this field and we want to hire him on. And I've had to like sell the shit out of myself to get gigs before too.
Oh yeah.
And like,
it's because like for me personally, like I always try to make it to, cause you can get the ball rolling to a certain point until I'm like, oh, it's going well. Oh shit, they're asking for like, yeah, can I see something similar that we're looking for that you've done before? And I'm like, oh fuck. Like,
I shot with an agency a couple months ago. I won't say who they are because it wasn't the greatest experience. But when they're interviewing me, they initially actually wanted to hire me to be their head content creator of the agency, which I already thought was kind of strange. I didn't know anyone from the team. Yet they were going forth already with like preparing me to be the head honch of this. They said it was a boutique style agency. Mm-hmm. Yeah, boutique means 4 people and 4 people who actually don't know what they're doing. Not, but they had trusted me with it. And every time they actually were asking me questions about how I create things. And they were pulling up videos of example stuff that I wanted to do. Or that they wanted to do.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and so then I would show my videos to them to say that, like, yes, I can do it. And I got myself to the point where, like, I sold them to the point where they offered me a huge contract. I turned it down because I'm too busy. I was too busy at the time with current work. But I agreed to do a shoot with them. And when I got to the shoot with them, unfortunately, they didn't explain the shoot to me with full details. And more or less, I got set up to be almost like a chump for this
set up to fail, essentially.
I did, yeah. I didn't have the right gear for it. I do have the skill set for what they wanted to shoot, but when their circumstances and the environment isn't helping you in that scenario, there was nothing that I could do rather than just I tried. I really tried my best. And I haven't gotten a call back from them since because I actually know what I shot the day was pretty garbage. Mm-hmm. It was, it's pretty discouraging looking back at the stuff that I shot for them. But why I'm saying that is that like I had everything to prove myself moving forward. I gotten myself to that point. I sold myself super hard to get all the way there to only it to retrospectively hit me back and end up me failing in this scenario.
But at the same time, like going forward, I bet regardless, because I do the same thing on whenever I'm going to shoot. It's just like, okay, do I need 1 camera or 2 cameras? Do I need audio gear? Do I not need, like, I'm at the point now where I don't trust anybody because I know there's going to be a moment where it's just like, oh, hey, can we do this? And then I'm like, no, because you didn't tell me that we were going to do that. And that's definitely happened to me before where I'm just like, we can't because I don't have that gear. Mm-hmm. But I can guarantee you now that you're probably not going to let that happen to you again.
No, of course not. It was a big wake-up call. It was a huge wake-up call. And it's Yeah, it was a massive learning moment for me that
Mhm.
like I won't put it as crude as saying don't trust anyone, but
It's just communication, man. Like,
yeah, communication somehow falls flat in the professional world at times, and like unfortunately that actually needs to be anticipated,
mhm.
and I didn't know that. I did not know you need to be anticipate that kind of things. I'm very grateful that for that moment though, because I was very low on myself the day after the shoot,
Mhm.
and then I had to chase a check from them. You know, I know they didn't want to pay me for it because like it sucked. Like it wasn't the best I've done,
Mhm.
but it didn't discourage me to stop creating. If anything, it just like it actually was a moment for me to take a break and be like, all right, I need to reevaluate what I want to do and meddle with the people that I need to be to excel myself. And that wasn't the gig. Even though I thought that was going to be my foot in the door to this new world of agency work,
Yeah.
that was not it.
I definitely can relate to that. There's every so often, yeah, you think you're. It always seems like it's the ones that go sour. You're like, man, this looks like a really good opportunity. I'm gonna go through with it, and then somewhere it falls flat, and like 17 revisions later, you're like, I'm never doing work for this client again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's always like the simple ones. You know what I mean? And
Definitely.
then somebody gets upset at you because.
Oh man, yeah, I'm dealing with that right now with a wedding. Wedding photography is a different and video work. We have a very close friend, Blake, who does video works, and he swears to not do them anymore because of there's the clientele sometimes is tough. It's really tough to deal with people. It's obviously a big trust factor you're giving someone to capture a once in a lifetime moment.
That I 100% I can say you need to do weddings for free before you do weddings.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very hard. And it doesn't look like from the outside looking in, you're like, oh, okay. Can't be that hard.
It's hard.
And then you go through the day, and if you've never done it a wedding day before as a photographer or videographer, man, that shit will just beat it out of you.
Oh yeah, it breaks you. My first wedding I ever did was paid, and it went too well. It went so well to the point that the day was smooth. I barely was stressed out. The photos came out great. The clients were amazing. They even gave me an amazing testimonial. They mailed me a letter showing their gratification for me and just telling how I captured some really beautiful moments for them, and they're forever grateful for me. So I was like,
you put that on your website?
I wish I should take a photo of it. But I was excited. I was like, and he gave me a phone call too to tell me how much he appreciated my work. So
That's amazing.
So I was like, that's beautiful.
Those are the good moments though.
Those are the good moments. So like that set me up for thinking, I'm like, weddings, I got it.
Yeah.
Shot my second wedding. I brought a second photographer now that like wanted to kind of get into that field too.
Yeah.
Day went pretty well too. And now it's just like, I shot that wedding months ago and I'm still dealing with the client because it was tough. It is a tough gig because you're not just like dealing with the pressure of capturing everything. You're also dealing with like, you're toying with people's memories. You're trying to capture someone's forever memories. And that's a lot of pressure on itself. And if they don't like it, you can either do two things. You can say, well, sorry, this is what I got. I gotta leave it at that. Or if you really have some really good integrity inside you, you can just fight it through and be like, okay, I will attend to your needs. I will attend to what you want because I feel like that is the better thing to do for yourself. Not just creatively, but in a professional world too. You kind of have to swallow your pride a little bit. You got to bite the bullet and just do the work that they're asking for because you're proving your own self-worth. This is where you find your self-worth too. I will charge a lot more money next time I do a wedding, but this is a learning curve that's still going on.
And that goes back to, I'm going to share a story in a second. I think I've told you before, but that goes back to like doing free work and stuff. That was when I first was like, okay, I think freelancing, like I think I can do it. Here's the formula of like how I'm going to go forward is to start at $300, whatever, but make that $300 look like $600. And when you do the $600, make it look like $1,000. And when you make it look like $1,000, make it like look like $2,000. And that's essentially what you're doing. One wedding goes good. It looks amazing. Now you can double your prices and like so on and so forth. But what I wanted to share was one of my last weddings of this last summer. I don't know what the frig was going on, but I brought food. We have a nut allergy, obviously, for those who don't know. Peanut and nut. And so I brought my own food to that wedding. Something was messed up in the food that I brought. So obviously, speeches, super crucial. That's my job, right? Go set up a camera. All you have to do is hit record, locked off on a tripod, just record the speeches. Your only job. I eat. There was something, I don't know if I just didn't catch like mold or I honestly couldn't tell you. But long story short, I got some level of food poisoning.
Fuck.
And I probably missed, I don't know, 60% of the speeches because I was thrown up in the bathroom.
Oh.
And I was like throwing up in the bathroom, and then I would run, like wipe myself off, and then I would run into the hall, set up the tripod. I'm at the front of everybody, like just like white, freshly thrown up, a little bit of throw up on my shoes, and everyone's just like looking at me, like setting up the camera while in the middle of a speech. And then like after it's done, I just like run back to the bathroom, and then some dude's like, "Too much drinking, eh, buddy?" And I'm like, dude, like
No.
literally the farthest thing from it. But long story short, obviously I ruined that package. They didn't get what they paid for. You only get fucking one shot at that thing. They're not going to redo the speeches.
Mm-hmm.
I had to leave early because I couldn't finish the night off. And in turn, obviously they're pissed, and there's not a whole lot that you can do at that point because one, it only happens once, but like my well-being is kind of at the forefront for me, but what do you do for the other person? You know what I mean? Like they lost their speeches, they're never going to be able to rehear those, and that relationship is ruined. Those things are really tough to handle in a professional environment.
Oh yeah. Fuck. Yeah, that sucks for you, man. Shit. That just sucks. That's you
Dude, it was like a 2-hour drive.
Straight out of a comedy, right out of a movie too.
But basically, I guess the moral of the story is to get the work that I wanted to do, I was going to have to do a lot of shitty work to get paid to do the work that I eventually wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I started off doing really shitty, not that I don't do it anymore, but like I started off doing really shitty like talking head videos and try to just make it look the best that I could, you know? The same thing that you were explaining earlier of like, just even if it's just another beer photo, put your own twist on it, because you're working to the point where now somebody is hiring me to do a conference video, like a kickoff conference video, because they liked my graphics that I put in the last one. You know what I mean? Because that's the fun part for me, is doing that little thing. I fucking hate conference videos. Like, that's not fun for me, you know what I mean? But it's just going back to, like, you got to kind of pick your direction and run with that. And don't expect to, straight off the cuff, be like, I'm a photographer and I shoot weddings for $5,000, because that's what is in the market.
Yeah, that would actually ruin your very, like, you guys hear my dog is currently drinking water. A little ASMR for everyone. Here's a nice little segment. Here we go. You think this is going to give us a few more views? This is what's in now, right?
Like, how long do you think we did ship just for fun? And I think that's also part of it. Like, I'm excited right now because I'm entering a new chapter of, like, yes, I'm working 9 to 5, but at the same time, I no longer, once I finish kind of transitioning out of freelancing, I will no longer be working weekends and stuff like that. And to me, locking out at 5 and having weekends is like the opening of, like, holy crap, I can do my own thing again. And, like, I can pick the projects and be excited to be like, what do I want to create? And I think obviously I lost that for a bit, but it was still on my forefront, like in my radar to you got to cut time out for yourself to always, because, like, editing beer photos and editing, conference videos, talking heads and stuff. Then that's not going to progress you. What's going to progress you is like, maybe it's one of those projects, but it's getting yourself on set on a passion project that you may not be getting paid for, or maybe they're just feeding you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is essentially what I'm stoked now to do with my free time, is just to put my time into projects that I really want to be doing, opposed to, like, it's an extra couple thousand bucks, like, that is meaning less to me now. And more so, it's just like, yeah, I would rather be really into what I'm creating rather than just doing it for the money.
Mm-hmm. That's very well put. And I can't stress that any more than you already have, when you need to carve away time just for yourself, for your own projects, for your own endeavors, what things that you want to do. Right now, work as a freelancer, it gets to the point that you get so overwhelmed from not just your work, but just like outside forces in your life, just life in general, that it weighs so heavily on you and on your to-do list, and it gets to a point where you actually just feel crippled and can't do any of it. You almost feel overwhelmed and you feel stuck, even though there's 10 things that you have to get done by the end of the week. You maybe feel like you can complete 2 of them because there's just this stifling power that just like lays over you. The only way to combat that, though, is by putting away time for yourself, checking in with yourself. Even if that's just like 10 minutes of meditating, going for a walk, going to do something, you need to make sure that there is time for yourself, for you to just that small check-in for that resurgence of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And not just like the energy, not just like your actual energy, but like the amount of energy you put into your work, your professional life.
Mental.
Yeah, it's everything, man. Mental health is extremely important, especially when you're working for yourself, because it's only you that holds yourself accountable. Yeah. That's it. You only have yourself. So if you are not mentally fit at the time, there's no way you can move forward with your work. And that's something I'm not going to hide away from. I struggle with that all the time. But the things that help me is
getting in tune.
You got to get in tune with yourself.
Yeah, really listen to what you need. Like, I'm definitely no stranger.
Yeah, for sure, man. The best tip that you've given me in the past 6 months is that if something's not clicking, leave it, drop it, walk away, do something for you really quickly, then come back with fresh eyes. And yes, that seems like a very simple approach, but that will work wonders for you in the long run, because it's a very useful tactic just to give yourself a breather.
It's really hard to make that decision. I think that's why it seems simple, but it's really hard to make that decision because, like, one, you don't really know when you're about to hit the wall, but right when you're about to hit the wall, that's when you drop it. Like, right before that wave fucking crashes, you drop it right before you walk away, because when you come back, then you'll just surf right through it.
Hell yeah.
Keep going.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. What's one thing that you're thankful for right now in your life as we wrap up here?
Ooh. I'm going to combine it with 2 things.
Ooh.
Yeah, like, obviously this whole thing is a bit about creative work, but like, honestly, I wouldn't have been able to stay as creative as I am without my girlfriend and my dog at home. It is so important to have a strong sense of belonging at home, at a place, especially when your home is your office. If the energy isn't positive and full of love and like support in your home house when it's an office, there's no way you can excel. There's no way. So I'm super thankful for having Teresa and my dog Sora there, because even though they are huge distractions and I can't get all my work done because of them, I am able to get my work done also because of them and the environment we've created.
It's a good one. That's a good one. Something that I kind of want to start, and we might as well start now, is I want to ask every guest that comes on if they could recommend somebody, or I don't know if that's the right word, but like, who are they into? Doesn't have to be on social media. I mean, that's the easiest route, but like, the city is so big. I only know so many people, but you know different people than I know. So like, whose work do you think is cool? Who's doing cool things? Who do you think would be cool to sit in that chair and like share their story and share their advice and hardships that they've been through.
Yeah, I just reconnected with the old homie that I went to York with. We were both cinema media studies student that wanted to be in film production but got rejected several times over.
Media studies.
Yeah, cinema studies, my God. But yeah, that didn't discourage us at all. It really just made us more hungry and wanted to create. And we actually ended up making our own film festival within our program a few years ago back.
Yeah, that was epic that you guys did that.
It was great. That was like one of the very few things that I enjoyed about my post-secondary experience. But I just reconnected with him recently, and he is right now working with a lot of clothing brands creating promo material, video work for them, but in a very different way. Like he's really bringing back that retro 90s camcorder vibe to the forefront of social media. And like, yes, it's been done before and it's still happening, but he's doing
it different.
He's doing it in a very very raw way. Where, okay, do you know what the Eisenstein kind of theory is of cutting? Where like if you cut from one shot to a completely different thing, they are somehow linked together.
Yeah.
He's he's really good at like stitching very obscure different shots together and it somehow contributing towards one benefiting story. And yeah, honestly, his work is actually getting really dope. His Instagram is Wizard Pressure. His name is David Greco, and very solid dude, very cool guy. And it's funny, I think his style of work is the future, even though it's in a medium that's in the past. So it's kind of cool.
Cool. I'll definitely check it out. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me again.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. There really is a ton of value in doing the right kind of free work. So be on the lookout for projects that you might think will stretch you, and even more importantly, start doing the work now that you want to be getting paid for and do it for free. Just build your portfolio up. For me, one of the biggest takeaways from this episode talking with Nolan was being aware and figuring out the things that recharge you. It's pretty crucial to your entire career. And just like mental health generally. And even further than that is finding your peak creative times. Like, when do you work the best? When are you the most productive? What routine works for you? Like, are you an early person? Are you a late person? If you're not certain of those things, I would definitely encourage you to make a little list and just jot little things down that you think recharge you, and figure out what routine works best for you. And a little homework, maybe check in with the people around you, your partner, your creative professional friends, your coworkers. What recharges them? When are they most productive? But yeah, see you in the next episode.